Hi, I'm Carcino.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Yo, what's up? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Now, while Hulk Hogan is gone to make movies and think he's going to be this big movie star in Hollywood, right? Hulk Hogan is getting ready to give up the belt. So while he's getting ready to give up the belt to go film the movie No Holds Barred, right? This is the big mega movie of Hulk Hogan's career. So he needs time away so that they can go ahead and get into the filming. So when you start seeing the development of what's happening with what's transpiring with Hulkamania and it was starting to really get to a point where, okay, Hogan's got the belt. It's kind of like the same type of ending. He doesn't really have anyone to fight. They kept running the Andre angle. You know, they fought like 2, 3 more times after WrestleMania. So they have this big fight on Saturday Night Main Event, which leads to the WrestleMania 4, where they have a tournament for the title. And Macho Man ended up getting the belt over Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Now, we all know how that led to be. Macho Man wasn't the guy. Macho Man was supposed to get the Intercontinental title, and the belt was going to go to the belt was going to go to Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, was going to hold the belt, and he was going to be the heavyweight champion. But we all know what happened when Honky Tonk Man didn't want to lose the Intercontinental belt to Macho Man, which made sense for a business perspective. Macho Man was upset with him, but Vince couldn't do anything to make it right. You know, it was not going to go over well. So they came up with an idea because Hogan was leaving, and it was like, Randy's going to go through the roof. This is what we were supposed to do. So they went ahead and made the biggest change in wrestling history. Macho Man would take over the reign as heavyweight champion over DiBiase. Now you got DiBiase that's pissed. So how do you take care of Ted DiBiase? Well, we got to create $1 million belt. And that's what they did. So everyone who was around saw that the $1 million belt was coming into play. And now you start to see the developments of what was to happen after the fact. Macho won the title, but with the help of Hulk Hogan coming into the picture, into the fray. So even when Macho is celebrating his victory, no one is respecting it. Like the fans are loving it, but here comes Hogan to steal the spotlight. Hogan is like, I'm giving it my stamp of approval so that it would last. Clearly wasn't the case. So Vince was upset that Honky Tonk Man held on to the belt, but it actually was the best move. So Honky Tonk Man was right, and it worked out tremendously. It worked out the whole Elvis angle with Honky Tonk Man, and he became huge. They were selling out shows, and he was a great heel. Really worked. The $1 million belt worked. Macho Man being heavyweight champion worked. And would have done probably better than DiBiase being heavyweight champion. Now, Macho is holding it down tremendously throughout this entire run while they did the whole championship rundown. So for the whole year, Macho Man is doing everything for WWF. He went up against the Giant. He beat the Giant. He's doing all of these things. Now, Hogan can't wait to get back. So Hogan creates this angle that him and Macho Man, who are friends, is going to get into this tug of war, become real friends, partner up, and going to form a super team called the Mega Powers. It was Hulk Hogan's idea that they switched to Hogan's colors. So Macho had to get a new robe that said Mega Powers. The lady that makes the robes for Macho Man had to get one that says the Mega Powers in yellow and red, which wasn't Macho's colors. These are Hogan's colors. Now, Hogan told Vince, he was like, Vince, I think the angle should be me and Randy. We come up with this fight with Mrs. Elizabeth. So it's the same thing, the same angle they did with Paul. When they screwed up WrestleMania 2, and it's supposed to have been Paul Orndorff versus Hulk Hogan. And then they just fell in love with this King Kong Bundy. Oh, Bundy's hot, man. Everybody wants to Bundy. Yeah. Me and Bundy. WrestleMania. Hogan changed it when they built up all this heat and steam with Paul Orndorff, and they got burned in WrestleMania 2 with the King Kong Bundy and Hulk Hogan thing. Putting it in a steel cage, made it dumb. And a lot of people hate WrestleMania 2 because of that. Whether it was a good concept, and the idea of having it at 3 different locations made it impossible to run. Because Vince can't be on the scene in all 3 locations. Now, here's where things derailed. They end up settling everything basically on a Saturday night's main event on NBC. That was a mistake. A huge mistake. They never recovered from messing that up and going with Bundy. And Paul Orndorff turning, they were a tag team, they joined up. He was his partner, and Paul Orndorff turned on him, didn't shake his hand, left him in the ring. right? They run that angle again with Randy Savage. And after the Mega Powers was supposed to go and fight the Money Bucks with Andre and Ted DiBiase. So they run this angle with the $1 Million Team. Then that flips. Then Hogan gets back in the picture. Tells Vince, Macho Man's got to be out. Now he's going to give the belt back to Hogan at WrestleMania. Vince is spontaneous. If someone would have told him a better idea, he would change it on the spot, if it makes sense. Because Vince is always thinking. So if something pops up, whatever he told you could change if he finds out there's a better idea. So he likes this angle. The Mega Powers. I mean, as soon as Hogan told him, he's already doing the prologue as he's telling him, oh my God, the Mega Powers explode. Oh, that's going to be a lot of heat. That's building up. Because Hogan was jealous, really, naturally jealous, because Macho Man had so much heat. Macho Man was not only over as the champion, they didn't need to go back to Hogan. Hogan insisted that they go back to him because he was ready. But he was like, how are we going to make this up to Randy? We're going to have to do something for Randy. So they were thinking, okay, we're going to run the Mega Powers. And they didn't tell Randy Savage any of the plan of that we're going to split up the Mega Powers. They let Randy believe that this was a push for him, knowing that they had to play the whole time that this is what they were going to do. And see about Randy using Elizabeth to get them jealous, the whole nine. So, of course, they were friends at the time, Macho and Randy. So, them having the discussion, and Vince's office was the one they were going to pretty much plot to use the entire time. And Randy was like, Randy is a brilliant mind when it comes to the wrestling and the actual just walking through the events. Like he said, like he the one that used Miss Elizabeth as his jealousy for her was going to be too much and turn on Hogan, and he's going to go back to being the heel. Macho was confused that they want to go that angle, but he said, okay, it was what they wanted to do, but it was really going to destroy Macho Man because he had built up a lot of credibility and a lot of heat as a good guy. Like being a bad guy all that time, they really gravitated over to Macho Man being the hero. Because everybody liked Macho Man anyway, even though he was a heel. Now that he's the good guy, they were like, yeah, now it's cool to be cool with him. So you got to see a lot of good matches because a lot of the top wrestlers were heels. So you needed somebody to stand out as that good guy. And Macho wasn't as big as Hulk Hogan. He wasn't no giant size guy. He was a regular size guy fighting giants. Like his match with Andre the Giant was great. But in every moment, someone had to come out and steal his shine. So Hogan's now jacking his, his whole shine as heavyweight champion. Halfway through the run, he's now created the mega powers. And even though Macho Man is the champion, he's side by side with Hulk Hogan, who's got him wearing his colors. Macho Man is wearing the yellow and gold to let you know this is a Hulk Hogan production. So we're a matching team with matching tights. The whole idea was crazy now. So no, the notes and everything that they took down to make the show work and saying, hey, we're gonna go in this direction. We're all for one. We're all in. Everything changed. They brought in a whole new team of people and said, all right, this is what we planning on doing. And they said, okay, well, what's the plan? He said, well, look, we got this guy over here. He's going to help out with plots, and we're going to work with Bill Pritchard. We're going to get scenarios, have the right villains come in. But he's like, we got to think of what we're going to do for Randy. Randy's going to want to know what direction he's going to go in if Hogan's getting the belt back. So they thought about, remember when they Harley Race had the King and Junkyard Dog won the King of the Ring and all of this stuff? They said, oh, what if Macho Man is the king of wrestling? It's like if we give him the crown and make Macho Man the king of wrestling. Oh, we're going to have like an event, a super tournament for the king of the wrestling. And he's going to be the king of wrestling. We're going to have to give that to Macho Man. So they had to create one, just like they created the $1 Million Belt. They'll create the crown. The king of wrestling was going to be Randy Savage. So, and they was like, Elizabeth is going to manage like Hogan now. There's going to be this rivalry. So they brought in Sensational Sherry. Because it just so happened all this stuff happened with her at the same time. She had just split up with Harlem Heat, got fired from WCW. And her and Jake the Snake Roberts, were really good friends. So she ended up getting a call from Vince, and Vince is like, I might have an angle for you. So we'll just stick around. We'll take care of you. So Sherry was over in WWF, and they're looking for this angle. They're trying to see which way they're going to go on this thing, So they know what they want to do with Randy to sell this to Randy and saying, Randy, I think we're going to, it's time to pull the switch, but we're going to do it at WrestleMania. We're going to make it big. It's going to be you versus Hogan. We're going to do the Mega Powers explode. Macho knew that was coming. But he was just worried about, how it's going to damage him going back to heel so quick. And he was like, well, you're the Macho Man. They're going to love you regardless. Vince know how to sell it to Randy, and Randy is a professional. He knows the business. So he trusts that Vince is not going to screw him over. So he kept saying, you're the Macho Man. There's no way. You can have whatever you want, do whatever you want. Look, we're gonna create the King of Wrestling tournament, and you're gonna be the King of Wrestling. You're gonna have a crown, everything. We're already working it out. But you're gonna have that. You're gonna be the King of Wrestling, Randy Savage. So It goes on for a while. The mega powers explode. Hogan gets all his contracts done. You know how that plays out with Miss Elizabeth. So now she's going to be the manager of Hulk Hogan. Liz. She's going to manage Hogan now. And this was all fine and dandy. They put the belt back on Hulk Hogan because the movie was getting ready to come out and they wanted Hogan to be the champion as the movie was coming out. So that's how they said, well, let's explain it to everybody at home, explain it to the people what's going to happen. So it became something natural to the rest of the world. Hogan was the anomaly to a system that was already broken. Vince was just riding waves as it goes and hoping, and he just kept catching the lightning bolt. It's like he kept catching lightning in a jar. And when Macho Madness was running wild, he just didn't know what to do. He just kept trying to we'll figure it out on the fly. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, I like that. Let's move. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's try that. Let's go. So that's how Vince operated. There was a lot of trust, a lot of company decisions and policies that was made on the fly at that time. So now, Hogan is champion now. So now, okay, Hogan gets the belt back. Macho Man is finna get this thing where he's the Macho King. We have no angle that we're going to run here. So the natural Butch Reed was supposed to beat Hulk Hogan. Bad News Brown was supposed to beat Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan needs to fight a black guy. He made a lot of money in the early 80s when he was the champion fighting against Kamala doing house shows. So fighting Kamala brings a lot of money, brings a lot of eyes, brings a lot of appeal. People's like, okay. So Butch Reed and Bad News Brown was supposed to get the shot at Hulk Hogan. Vince promising them a title run and a back and forth with Hogan. Butch Reed was supposed to challenge Hogan, get the belt, and then Hogan was going to go make the film Mr. Nanny. Macho Man is the Macho King. He's the man. So Macho King, because he was the king of wrestling, and then he came up with the name the Macho King later. So now, once that's done, it all pivots. It goes from being one thing to a whole nother thing altogether. Here comes No Holds Barred. The movie comes out. Vince loved the character Zeus. Once he saw Tony Lester come in as Zeus with those boots on, because he's not as tall as Hogan. So to make him menacing, he put on some black boots. He cut the Z in his hair, and Vince knew right away. That's Zeus, the human wrecking machine. Vince will go into a monologue right in there, just starts announcing it as the person is there. He'll just start going into it. Oh my God, there he is. He's Zeus, the human wrecking machine. And right then and there, a guy with no wrestling training whatsoever, Vince is like, I'm going to pay you more money than he would make being in a movie. He was making like basically $2,000 a movie. To Vince is paying him big money just to go in there for a couple of minutes in the ring and giving him top hotel stay, limos, everything. So other wrestlers definitely hated Zeus. Butch Reed hated it. This guy don't have any wrestling skills. And you guys are trying to put him over. And they were like, we need to sell it. So Macho Man, who was supposed to have his own rivalry, right? He's supposed to have his own rivalry set up where him and Brutus the Barber Beefcake was supposed to have this brawl for this King of the Ring thing. So they blended it with Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake. I think Macho was worn with somebody else too. And they were supposed to have a battle. But it ended up being Macho Man, the Macho King. They hired him to say, okay, look, Zeus needs to sell. We need to push. Randy, I've got you to guide him and help him out. You know, monologues, everything. He needs somebody with experience to be with him. No one's going to work with him. So Bad News Brown, he didn't get the shot. And Butch Reed, the natural Butch Reed, who did what Vince wanted him to do, dye his hair to blonde. So now Butch Reed is upset because he's not getting the push that he's supposed to get and to have his rivalry with Hulk Hogan. So now Zeus is taking his spot. So Zeus is getting all this shine. They doing the whole Zeus thing, and it worked. The audience was scared. Vince is trying to sell a movie. So he had the match, the movie, the no holds barred event, the movie, and the match in a steel cage. So the whole event was no holds barred. They had them in there wrestling. And there it was. You know, it's just natural to see these people make fools of themselves and get themselves caught up in situations that it's not going to work well for them. So I was just like, wow, that's crazy. So after this whole run with Zeus was over, Macho was supposed to go back to, you know, going through his progressions. In the middle of this, the Ultimate Warrior blows up. His run with Rick Rude was epic. Through all of this that they're doing, the fans are all glued into the Ultimate Warrior's run for the Intercontinental Championship. So now, with all of this going on, the Intercontinental Championship was supposed to go back to Macho Man. He was going to go back to being an Intercontinental Champion once the Ultimate Warrior won and beat Hulk Hogan. Hogan was going to Hollywood to make more movies. So all of the narratives started to switch up right away all over again. So Ultimate Warrior is on fire. You know, the Rick Rude situation, he won the belt off Rude. I mean, off the Honky Tonk Man. The match was really quick. I don't even think Honky Tonk Man got his uniform off. And the match was over, and the Ultimate Warrior won the belt, like destroyed him, ran him right over. So the whole rivalry with Rude, that was epic. Well, Rude was athletic and strong. He could do a lot of different things that a lot of people didn't see or understand. Yeah, Rude. I mean, Rude came and beat the Warrior and got the belt and became the champion. Then the Ultimate Warrior came and got the belt right back off of Rick Rude because he had so much buzz. So Macho Man was supposed to get the belt back. And after Macho was supposed to get the belt back, and they were like, well, he's the Macho King. We could really sell that, that he's still the king. We don't. But Macho's like, man, he's getting bored of being the Macho King, really. So the Warrior never lost the Intercontinental title again. He ended up going against Hogan and winning the WWF title. So they had basically a match for who would be the new champion. So Kurt Hennig ended up getting that, and everybody felt like it was due that Mr. Perfect be the Intercontinental Champion. So no one disagreed. Macho Man would just remain Macho King. But a good rivalry with Kurt Hennig would be great for him, but they're both heels. Now, moving along, all of these things started to explode because the betrayal came in. And once the betrayal came in, Kurt Hennig got hurt and they gave it to Kerry Von Erich. And once again, the Macho Man is gearing towards retirement because he's getting bored and he wanted to take pretty much a vacation. So the whole retirement thing came on down the road. Yeah, well, when you start seeing things that didn't make sense, people had to make their mind up. Yeah. So no, he was never getting that back. It went from Kurt Hennig to getting the belt back because of Kerry and his issues. And then, it went to Bret Hart, the guy that kept getting overlooked. And once again, they could have had a big run with him and Randy Savage. Then Macho Man got hurt and was basically out for a while recuperating. So he went to the broadcast booth. But yeah, he got played. He got played into that position. Hulk Hogan, he knew Hulkamania was getting stale. He knew. Vince knew. And Macho Man had a wave that was crazy, the madness. So the madness wave came through, and what it basically did was rejuvenate Hulkamania and give it a new, fresh look by mixing Macho Man fans with Hogan fans, because they weren't the same. A Macho Man fan was not like Hogan's fan at all. So, you know, that original merch of Macho Man with the shades with the purple, the yellow and gold will never be compared to Randy. The purple does. But the yellow and gold and the red and gold and all that, that's Hogan all day. So anyway, that's what happened. So I go on for days and days talking about wrestling. But I don't want to do all that to you and keep y'all here forever. But I appreciate y'all time. Patreons, it is what it is. I'm out. Hit the like button, the heart, and all those wonderful things so I can know who's all getting their notifications. And I'm out.